Hey y'all, Jamie here, proud 56-year-old trans woman from New Orleans. So, where last I left off, y'all, I had just met the sugar daddy of my life. Yes, a man named John Coyne. He was in the Navy. We were both 28 years old. He came into the bar with my good friend Candy Slice, who I had known since I was 14 years old. She made the introductions, he gave her some money, and she left us to it. So, y'all, the very first night that me and John met, John made it very clear to me that he was highly infatuated with me, highly. And he started buying me champagne. For bottles of champagne, I had a deal with the owner of Le Roundup, Mark, that if I sold champagne, I would get 50%. He would get 50, I would get 50. Fair deal, right? I'm the one that has to suck the dick at the end of the day. So, that being said, John and I are sitting at the bar. He's buying me bottles, and in walks a girl named Jade from LA. Jade had been in New Orleans before, but she had moved to LA. Well, she was fresh in town to visit because she had gone to Mexico to see a surgeon there who was apparently specializing in removing silicone injections and replacing them with implants, breast implants. So she was telling me about this, right? And she's showing me her new breasts, and they looked gorgeous. And John's looking at them, and I see his face. And like I said, at that time, look, I had about a C cup at that time. I wanted more. I wanted more. What can I tell you? I'm a glutton. So I'm telling John, wow, I'd really love to get mine done. Oh, do you see how beautiful hers are? If only I could get mine done. And John said, is that something you'd really like? Keep in mind, he's sitting there drinking heavily, buying me champagne. And he's buying, I think he had spent like 500 at this point, when this conversation happened, about $500 at that point. And he tells me, is that something that you really want? You really want to get your breasts done? And I said, yeah, it's my dream. Like, it would be a dream come true to get this silicone out of my chest. It's not good. And, I started telling, even though I didn't feel that way about silicone at that time, I started telling him about how bad it was for you and how I should get it out of me and, all of that. So he agreed. John told me, well, I'll buy you your implants if that's what you really want. Now, I got to be really totally honest with you. Did I believe him? Hell no. I didn't fucking believe him as far as I could throw him. Of course not. Do you know how many men I've had promise me the world? I've had men promise me to buy me houses. I've had them promise to buy me cars. Well, I've actually had a lot of them buy me cars, but I've had a bunch of them offer to buy me houses. Like, I've had them offer to buy me my pussy before I had it. Like, you name it. You name it. And so, did I believe him? No, I didn't. I honestly didn't. But was I going to let him know that? Absolutely fucking not. You know why? Because you just never know. You just didn't know. He might have been the real deal. Before the end of that night, okay, he and I are very drunk. We are sitting in the back of the bar. Well, actually, I'm not. I'm actually not drunk. He thinks I'm drunk, okay? I I knew how to fake drinking, okay? You can fake drink. You ask for a club soda back, to go with your champagne to cut that nasty aftertaste of the champagne in your mouth. It's actually a plastic cup with just ice in it, and that way when you take a sip of champagne, you hold it in your mouth, you wait a few seconds, then you pick up the other cup and you spit it out into the cup. Get it? That's how you can get away with selling $3,000 worth of champagne and still being able to walk a straight line. Okay? So, that's what's going on, and the bottles are lined up in front of us. I know at one point I told him, I said, honey, we're starting to run low on bottles. How about if you just buy me $1,000 bottle? And he said, y'all have $1,000 bottles? I said, well, we can make one $1,000 bottle. I did. I sold him a $150 bottle of champagne, which honestly probably cost the house about $39.95, if that. But yeah, I sold him what we would normally sell for $150. I sold to him for $1,000. Okay. The next morning, the manager of the bar, George, comes in. Mark, the owner of the bar, comes in because he's been called and notified that I'm going to be needing a payout. And so Mark and George come in the bar, and there we are. And, we go in the back office. Well, I tell John, I'm like, John, listen, You go ahead and you be a good boy, and I need you to go ahead and run along. I gave him my information, gave him my home phone number, gave him, he knew where I worked there at the bar. All the information John would need, I made sure he had, and I sent him on his little way with just a kiss. $3,000 worth of champagne. He got a kiss out of me. One kiss. One. Not making out all night. No, a kiss. Okay? So, George, the manager, and Mark, the owner, and I go back into the office to go handle business, and I'm back there in a real good mood. I've sold $3,000 worth of champagne. I'm thinking $1,500 cash in my pocket. Hell yeah. Plus the tips I made that night. Like I had cleaned house. I had cleaned house. I think I made probably $2,000 that night with my, including the commissions from the champagne. I probably made about $2,000. So Mark's getting ready. He's counting out the money to me. And Mark starts to tell me, this just doesn't seem right. Like, I'm the one paying for the overhead of the bar. I'm the one paying for the champagne. I'm supplying the venue. Like, really, I think that this ought to be more like maybe a third, to me. Talking about giving me a third. Well, I looked at him and I said, Mark, if you want that to be the last champagne I ever sell in this bar, you go ahead and make that decision. And he looked at me and he's like, Jamie, he said, I just think that it's only fair. If y'all want to know what happens next, honey, y'all know the routine. Be here next time and I will too. I love you all. I love you all for watching and I love you for the comments. And I do still love my friend Mark and Colette. Talk to y'all later, y'all. Bye.